Do you love books or do you like consuming content but don't have time to read? That's where I've been in the last months. I've been so busy trying to do everything, and I really miss sitting down, reading a book, absorb information, have something that is not just work swimming in my brain. However, I have absolutely no time. So what I've been trying lately is audiobooks. So I tested Audible for months. And here's my honest review. What works, what doesn't work, and whether it's worth it. For me, it is very important to keep learning and to consume content that inspires me and teaches me. However, I feel like my reading list is always impossible to tackle. And I do buy books and then they just kind of accumulate on my nights. Usually I make time to read right before I go to bed. However, I either go to bed too late or I'm too tired and I don't make it past 2 sentences. So I thought, besides listening to podcasts, maybe I can also start listening to books. And while I'm commuting, while I'm cleaning, whenever I am doing whatever, I can also start reading some of the books I've been wanting to consume. I wanted to give it a try, and in this video I'll tell you about my experience, the pricing, features, the pros, cons in my opinion, also some of my favorite audiobooks, and all the tips to making the most out of it. So first of all, what is Audible? Audible is a subscription that gives you access to thousands of audiobooks. You pay monthly, you get credits to use on audiobooks, and you can access them on your desktop, mobile phone, or offline. Some cool features of the service are speed control, bookmark, and one of my favorites is Whisper Sync, which lets you switch seamlessly between listening to the audiobook or reading on Kindle. So first let's talk about the pros, the things that I like the most. First of all, the convenience. I can listen to my books while I am commuting, cleaning, cooking, or even exercising. That kind of solves a lot of the issues I've been having lately, being so busy, not having enough time to. I also like that I can have a library that is quite a big size. I have in my library some personal development, some self-help, some fiction, business books, and I like that I don't have to choose just 1 or 2 books whenever I travel because it would be too heavy. I can take all of my library with me, and if I'm tired of reading a business book, I can switch to fiction. I also really like that I can switch from listening to the audiobook to reading it on my Kindle with the Whisper Sync feature. And finally, it allows me to experiment a lot more because it is cheaper than buying a physical book and it's instant, so I can just buy the book and immediately have access to it. It just allows me to try a lot more things. It feels like less of a commitment than having to buy a book and waiting for it to come and then having it occupy space in my physical living room. I can tell you about 3 books that I read recently that I don't think I would have finished if it wasn't for the subscription to Audible. One of them is something that has been discussed a lot lately, is Let Them by Mel Robbins. It's a very cool and empowering concept, and I just don't think I would have gotten through it if I wouldn't have Audible. The second book that I also listened to recently was Fourth Wing, so that is a little bit of a different genre, a little bit more fiction and entertaining, not so much self-development. It's also good because for some years I only listened or read self-development and it got a little bit tiring, to be honest. So I also wanted to start reading just for fun. The Fourth Wing was very good for that. And finally, a third book is one of my favorite books ever in my life. It's called The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. I first read that book years ago and always had it on my nightstand. I gifted it multiple times and now I'm happy that I get to listen to it as well. So I can definitely recommend those 3 on Audible. If you want to try Audible, you can sign up for a free trial with my affiliate link in the description. You get to try if Audible works for you and support the channel at the same time. I think you will like it a lot. So now let's talk about cons, because nothing is perfect. Here are some things that I didn't love about the Audible audiobook subscription service. The first thing is cost. I don't think it is expensive for what you get. However, in order for it not to feel expensive, you do need to use it regularly. If you don't use it regularly, then maybe it's not worth your investment. Number 2 is that I find it that often whenever I'm listening to a book, I feel like I retain it less versus if I read it on a physical book. I tend to be a visual learner, so whenever I see something written, I tend to not forget it, but listening to it feels less deep somehow. That is the downside, especially if I'm reading something more technical or step by step or something that is trying to teach me. I think it's easier to read it than to listen to it. So for fiction, for example, I think it works amazing. For general self-development, motivational type of titles, it works great. But if it's something more learning and methodical, I think actually reading it on a physical paper works much better, even better than the Kindle. Number 3 is the narrators. Your experience with the audiobook really depends on the narrator of the book. The narrators tend to be the actual authors, but not every great writer is actually a great speaker, a great narrator. So some are more engaging than others, so that also depends. However, you can listen to the book before you buy it or spend your credits on it. That helps you decide if you want to actually listen to the whole book with that narrator or if you prefer to get something else. Finally, sometimes I also felt a little bit overwhelmed because the library is huge, which is amazing and great, but at times there were just so many options that I just didn't know what I wanted to listen to next. But I also tend to go on recommendations a lot. So for the next books, I just tend to buy or listen whatever I was recommended, like on TikTok or something from the same authors that I just listened to. It helps staying on track. So who would I recommend Audible to? Like, who benefits the most from Audible? In my opinion, people who do have long commutes would benefit quite a lot from Audible. Busy professionals like me that kind of cannot find the time to sit and read on their day-to-day life or even on the weekend, or students which kind of have a similar type of routine. Basically anyone who wants to learn and cultivate their mind while doing other things. I have a couple tips to make the most out of it. So sometimes I listen to it on 2 times speed in order to save time and listen to it faster. And I don't find with most narrators that it really hurts my comprehension or absorbing the information. So that's another one. Would be that you can make a list of books that you would actually like to listen to before you start your free trial in order to avoid wasting your free credits. So then you know that you will not get overwhelmed and that you will actually get access to the books that you really have been wanting to get access to. And finally, one very important tip is that you can actually cancel and then restart your subscription if you know that you are not able to use it all the time. For example, you have a very busy season coming up with exams, or you're traveling for work and you will not have so much time to listen to books. So you can cancel your subscription, and whenever you restart it, your credits carry over. And I think that's a very great tip to avoid having to pay the membership. You will only pay if you use it without losing the credits, which I think is... And I also have a Kindle, so I'm able to compare both. In my opinion, Audible is very good because it allows you to listen while you are busy, while the Kindle is better if you need some visual reading. But here's my verdict. Is Audible worth it? For me, Audible is worth it because I was finally able to get back to reading every day, even while being in a busy season and having quite a busy lifestyle. If you rarely listen, I'm not sure if it's worth the subscription, but I think it comes in handy that they have the option to pause and restart your subscription whenever you have more time, like if you're going on holidays. Overall, I really recommend it for book lovers and people who want to learn and cultivate themselves while on the go. Finally, you can sign up for a free trial of Audible if you would like to try it out with my affiliate link in the description. I will leave a full list of my favorite titles on my Substack, so you can sign up to my Substack. The link will be in the description, and there you can find a lot of my recommendations, a lot of my library link. If you want more tips on productivity, personal growth, and learning efficiently, then please sign up to my Substack down below and also subscribe to my channel. See you next time for another one. Bye!